the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for our servicemen and women throughout the world, and also for those who have passed away in our community. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Mr. King?
Here.
Dr. Rothchild? Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Donahue?
Here. Dispense with the reading of the minutes.
Third order, 3A, check received from Comcast in the amount of $262,264.60 for quarterly franchise fee. 3B, correspondence received May 10th, 2022 from OECD regarding code enforcement report for council complaints. 3C, City of Scranton 2020 annual financial report for year ended December 31st, 2020. Prepared by the Office of the City Controller, John J. Murray. 3D, correspondence from OECD received May 12, 2022 regarding cumulative licenses permits report. 3E, City Council request log updated May 13, 2022.
Are there any comments on any of the third order items? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have any announcements at this time?
I just want to say, well, last week I announced the Touch a Truck event at Naog Park that was hosted by the Junior League of Scranton. I just want to like to report out that it was a success. It was a great turnout at the park. My grandson Killian had a blast, especially with the fire trucks. So well done, Junior League of Scranton. That's all I have.
My daughter Maggie also had a blast. Any other council members have any announcements?
Just kudos to our DPW members that were up there that assisted with that, along with the Rec Authority for the continued work they do up at the Naog Park. I know that Bob Gattens and his group of volunteers set up the stage up at Naog, and they began with the concert on Sunday. I think they had the Longo Brothers playing up there, so it's nice to get some music back in the park, and nice that we're having events like Touch a Truck, and we're getting more people out to our city parks. Thank you.
Do any other council members have announcements?
Are you going to announce this?
You can announce it. Go ahead.
Okay, if I can announce that they're Get Your Booster COVID vaccine clinic is going to be held May 24th between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. at 1801 Pine Street, Scranton. And it's the old Army Reserve Center. So that's now authorized, the second booster for 50 and over, and first booster for 5 and over. And it's available, all doses of Pfizer and Moderna. And walk-ins are welcome. Thank you.
Any other council members have announcements? I just have a couple. Again, the Scranton Dunmore Fraternal Order of Police will be holding the Heroes Helping Heroes Golf Tournament on Monday, June 6th at Mount Airy Lodge and Resort. All proceeds benefit the Gino Murley Veteran Center Resident Welfare Fund. The Resident Welfare Fund is used solely for the residents of the Gino Murley Veteran Center. If anyone has any questions or need further information about the golf tournament, contact Gino Murley Volunteer Services Resource Coordinator, Janice McAllister, at 570-961-4380. And also, we got an email late this afternoon from the mayor, since the Lackawanna County is back in a high transmission classification by the CDC. Mask will be required in City Hall beginning Wednesday. So we will also follow that directive for next week and also require masks at our council meetings while the CDC has Lackawanna County in a high transmission classification. And that's all I have. Mr. Voldenberg?
Fourth order, citizens' participation.
First on the list is Joan Hodowanitz.
Joan Hodowanitz, Scranton. What's the status of the union contract negotiations?
It's my understanding they're still under negotiation.
Okay, I didn't see any information in third order on the number of meetings that have taken place. So what I've done last week, I sent in my own right to know request. We'll see which one of us gets the information first. You may think it's silly that I keep asking about it, but I'm here to tell you. I Googled the clerical union's contract because the current one is not on the city's website, even though it was signed in March of 2021. Hint, hint. They got a 3-year contract and a 2% pay raise each year. But you gotta be smoking dope if you think the police, firefighters, and DPW are gonna settle for 2% with the current spike in inflation. They're not. And they're gonna hold out, go to arbitration, and you know they're gonna win. So what you gotta think about is whatever pay raises they do get are gonna be retroactive to January 1st. And then think about Jerry Cross in his words of wisdom when he recommended taking the city out of Act 47 distress status. He projected that by 2026, the city would have to raise property taxes by a minimum of 26%. That was without factoring in a substantial increase in salaries and wages for these unions. Not that they don't deserve them, but it has to do with planning for the financial impact. You need to look at that very closely. Speaking of looking at things closely, I saw the RFQ that was in the paper on May 12th for a special labor council. Now, the bids are due by 10 a.m. on May 31st, at which time they will be opened in this chamber. But it's kind of strange because they're all going to be done totally digitally. And they go to the controller, and the public can view them on YouTube. So if I walk up here, will I be seeing a paper copy in city council chambers at 10 a.m.?
I'll check with the controller's office to see how they're.
Yeah, I'd
'cause
like some
that's
clarification on that.
Yeah, because that's the new procurement software.
Yeah.
We just approved, what was it, a month?
So I'd like
month
to
and a half
know,
ago?
because, you know, they should be available for review by the public. And, you know, I'll go to the library and go on YouTube, but there are a lot of people who do not have the internet. So you need to think about, you know, you're going to put a paper copy on the city clerk's desk or something, or a paper copy in the library. Those are things to think about. Any information? Are they working hard on the audit, which is due on May 31st according to the Home Rule Charter? Has Kohansky said anything about a projected delivery date?
We haven't gotten an update, but I'll see what I
Yeah,
could get you for
last
next
time
week.
they said September 30th. You know how well that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I saw on 5D the 1-month, one-time waiver of the interest and penalties for the initial payroll preparation tax returns. And I said to myself, gee, haven't we been talking about that for like 2 or 3 years? It can't be a surprise. But I said, okay, so maybe, you know, maybe it's complicated paperwork, a complicated return. And then I read the backup, and it said financial impact, cost is negligible. So I'm wondering, well, why do we even need to do it? But so be it. Hopefully, it will be a one-time, one-month waiver. And the only other thing I'd like to say is, well, two things. One, I hope everybody will go out and vote tomorrow morning. And after you vote, head on over to the Steam Marketplace at Steamtown for the Scranton Public Library's book sale, which is running from tomorrow through Sunday. You can get books and CDs and DVDs, all kinds of wonderful things for just $1 or $2. And on the weekend, buy a $5 tote bag, and everything you stuff in it is free. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list, Ron Elman.
Good evening, Council. You know, almost daily, our leftist newspapers printing all these letters. They're always adverse against Trump and the Republicans. And when I write a letter, it sits there for months. I phone Mr. Harity, I think his name is. But these letters from Sandra Myers, Motsley, they're just printed as soon as they hit the next day. They'll be talking about something the day before. Instead of, these people just, they don't want to see this country come back together. It's apparent they just, they want incite. They want things like they are. That's why we have tragedies. It's all over. These young people seem to make heroes out of the wrong ones. Well, I made it a week without my car getting keyed, so I assumed that my opposition to free abortions for life was acceptable. Pretty soon, they'll start reaping the harvest from all the 2 weeks that Daddy sent his little girls down to Fort Lauderdale for 2 weeks vacation. These murder mills, they're just such a terrible thing. And last week, I complained about my bills were $1,800 or something, more than last year. You won't believe this. Between last week and this week, the gas company raised it $3 more on me. The month before, I paid $80. This month, well, next month, they want $123. This is extra. You're talking about a fortune. You guys are going to pay all this extra for the utilities. Everybody listening out here, this is a gigantic difference. This is over $1,000 extra out of our pocket that we had last year to spend on things. I watched this commercial for Mr. Shapiro badmouthing the Republicans' administration before him, and he says he's the alternative. This is what he thinks is good, what's happening in this country the past year. Today I got 4.5 gallons of gas for $20 at Sheetz. And I used to get $20. It wouldn't even take $20 most of the time I went a year ago. And I think Shapiro and Fetterman, I like Fetterman, but I'm not going to vote for him. I think they're just going to carry on the policies of Wolf's administration, which is shattering the people of this state. He's destroyed so many lives and people and businesses. You know, I've dug into my savings to get by, and I can afford a lot of things, but I'm holding off. I've been thinking pretty strongly about getting another car, but I keep spending money on this one to see what's going to happen, and things keep getting worse. I want to spend some money on the house. I phoned a couple people to come over about remodeling. No one ever shows up or phones you back. I don't mean remodeling the house, I mean some work. I phoned all kinds of people. I don't know if they're busy or just don't care. But this increase in the utilities it's going to destroy people. And somebody's got to do something to help us, for crying out loud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellman. That exhausts the sign-in sheet for this evening. Would anyone else like to address council?
Well, I'm here. I didn't see any of my complaints on that list that was in the paper.
I gave you an update a couple weeks ago.
On the list that was released about their accomplishments. I know what you're
I
going to
gave you an
tell me,
update a couple-
patience and fortitude.
Let me see if I still have it here, and I'll provide you with an update, Mr. Ellman.
I was listening.
Tom Coyne, Manuka. I was debating on whether even to come up here and speak tonight. There are many things on our mind these days, but I did have an observation coming in here to this building. Coming over the bridge into Center City, right before the bridgeway at the University of Scranton, parked on the side of our Biden Expressway, happens to be a Bob Bolus truck. This is not the first time Mr. Bolus has broken down his truck, as his truck mysteriously broke down when Biden visited this city. Mr. Bolus is using the side of his truck, which has a bunch of political campaign signs on it, for an impromptu billboard. This should not be allowed. If he wants to buy a billboard, let him buy a billboard. If he wants to put up signs, let him put up signs. If the truck is broken down there on a highway, well, maybe someone should call the authorities and have it removed from there and have it properly towed, because it's been left abandoned on the side of a roadway. It shouldn't be there for days. It should be towed and it should be gone. No citizen should be allowed to put up political signs by obstructing the roadway and creating a safety hazard.
So, Mr. Coyne, when I was coming over the same way, I did see a police car behind the truck, so hopefully it is.
It needs to be towed because, as I said, this is a pattern and practice that he has done beforehand of conveniently breaking down a vehicle right at the time where there is a political event going on. For the swimming and pools, I understand we have many things that are involved with Naog Park. A while ago I suggested, can we not buy a couple of sprinkler caps like they have up at New York City that they put on the fire hydrants? Just something that can be put up there, that can be blocked off. You put it on there, they open it up, and it has a little sprinkler pad, a little sprinkler or spray water in the roadway. New York does it because there's a lot of population and there's really not a lot of swimming pools. And it's a cheap opportunity to put in a park or in a place a metal cap on a fire hydrant controlled by the city, who can turn it on to make it a little splash area for almost no cost at all. Last comment for tonight is in reviewing the IT contracts. It's funny that we have spent so much money to analyze, to look at, to improve the IT department, to ignore and allow a cyber attack to happen, to decide that we need to reallocate, rebuild, and unify into one specific stream, a way for our government to work. And after months and months and months of that money being dumped in it, we finally figure out, oh, we can't do that. We can't combine our network, and we have to look another way. What type of guidance do you have, or have you had in the past, in the IT department that leads you down a blind alleyway spending money for an idea that cannot be logically done and should have been known cannot be done until the entire infrastructure is changed? I understand in IT, when you take something this massive and you have a bunch of legacy products through different communities, different tax office, different operating systems, and different governmental bodies, combining those together is a monumental task to do a conversion. I've done them before. This is not something new. And it's not impossible, it just takes staging it out. And for the longest time, we have not had anyone here who is able to make a roadmap that does not include throw more money at it, have someone else give us the ideas, and then when they cannot do it for us, move to someone else. Hopefully that will change, because we're just throwing money away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coyne. Would anyone else like to address council this evening?
Good evening, council. Dave Dodson, resident. I wore my Lions shirt for you tonight to recognize a family resemblance, or what? Okay. I've been seeing some political ads on, and I have a question for Mr. Donahue, and he has not put me up to it. Your opponent is saying that you defunded the police, or were for defunding the police. Now, I don't ever remember you trying to defund the police. It'd at least be nice if we had some Democrats that were honest, too. You know, that was way over the top. I guess just because you're in charge of negotiations with the police department.
I'm not in charge of negotiations.
Yeah, it's the mayor, and well, council has to ratify stuff, but, you know, I never heard of anybody here defunding the police. I mean, not even me. I don't want a bunch of street urchins trying to kick my door in, you know. I might wind up on trial for something or another. Okay, now, a lot's been said about illegals and asylum and immigrants. You know, 50 years ago, they were trying to introduce family planning and birth control to the third world, and it got outlawed federally. The Congress and the president, whoever it was at that time, did not approve of it. And I'm tired of people looking to assign blame after it was a problem that they created, because it certainly wasn't anybody to the left of the column there. I see people all over the place, including Scranton, the ladies yesterday protesting. And by the way, that law, if you look at enumeration of rights in the Constitution, I don't have a right in the Constitution saying I can walk out this door and walk down Washington Avenue. You know, it's just plain and simple as that. I have, you know, you don't need enumerated rights for everything. You just need a proper interpretation, which, going back to 16th century England, which was included in that leaked testimony or decision was, I mean, what does England 16th century have to do with 21st century America? I don't know. Once again, get out and vote. And I wore my mask tonight because I was already aware that the county has declared a high contagion area for COVID, and it'll keep coming around as long as people don't want to vaccinate, and that's a problem. Get out and get your vaccination. It's a little pinprick, and you might wind up sitting home on a Saturday night instead of feeling like going out dancing or whatever, but at least you're protected somewhat from serious disease. I mean, you might get some disease, but not wind up in a hospital on a ventilator. It could get to the point where this is mild, and it could just overnight turn deadly, because it's billions of viruses that invade your body and start reproducing, and the chances of an evolution there and are great. The more it reproduces, the more there's a chance that it could turn serious. So, and once again, get out and vote tomorrow. My vote's already cast, so that's the way it is. I don't really want to go to a poll at this time. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Dobson. Would anyone else like to address council this evening?
Good evening, Marie Schumacher, citizen. First, I would like to start off thanking the DPW crew that is doing the basic work to get East Mountain or Mountain Lake Road. They're doing it right this time, and it's very refreshing to see that 2 of them have already been done, and I don't know what they're doing. I spoke with the man who's in charge of it, and I asked him about the springs over on East Elm Street, and he said, oh, I went to a special class on that, so hopefully that'll get done right this time too. So that will be very nice. 5B. I am definitely against the testing for fentanyl. Everybody knows the number of deaths and that they're due to fentanyl, and yet they continue to buy things that are at risk. And I don't think we should enable them to continue doing that. I mean, why do we have to protect people who are too ignorant to put their life at risk by knowing something might be there? I just do not think we should be helping them to find out which of their high-class drugs are safe for them to take. Not that they're safe, mind you. People get behind wheels with those drugs behind them, and I think we should be protected as well, and we should not help them. They can make up their own minds. 7B, I'm definitely against this signing up on the federal government affairs services. Number one, those people are all there to represent us. I brought this up before. You people do not bring the people who are elected at the state level in Harrisburg and Washington here to tell them what we need. Why can't you do that? Bring them here. They all have offices here. They have big staffs. You could tell them every week. I don't think that we need to we're spending an awful lot of money, and as Joan said, we're probably gonna have a big hole in the police and fire budgets when the contracts are completed. So I don't think we need to waste money there. If we do, perhaps the county, which we also pay taxes to, and they have a lobbyist down there, I believe, we could ask them if they could do us a favor. I just can't imagine that we have that much to spend this kind of money. And then on 7A, I assume that everybody up there is in favor of keeping this building as the municipal building for at least 2 decades. Otherwise, I am against spending that kind of money on this building if it's not going to be the building. And let's see, I had something else here. Oh, did anybody find out whether or not, or how much we're going to have to compensate the company that has the parking spaces if we start putting in bicycle lanes?
I believe that's going to be covered under the walkability and connectivity study that just got started.
Just got started.
Yes. We just approved an amendment to the contract, and the contract was just signed. That was put on the back burner because of COVID. I think it should have been done 2 years ago too, but this is where we're at.
This is crazy. I mean, and look at the one with the parks. Have you made a decision? Has anybody made a decision on what's going to happen at NAOG, park, pool-wise? No. I mean, what are you doing to us? We're not going to have swimming there this year. We didn't have it last year. You have all these studies that we've paid for already. Why cannot a decision be made? Somebody tell me? Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address council this evening? Mr. Voldenberg?
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Mr. King, do you have any motions or comments?
Just a couple quick comments. I am in favor of restoring this building and maintaining this building for many, many years to come, so I am in support of that. As far as the fentanyl strips, the reason I'm going to support that is, unfortunately, the hope is that no one would be addicted to drugs, but unfortunately they are. I know a lot of people that have gotten off of drugs, and fortunately they're able to turn their lives around, but I'm concerned about people dying, so that's why I'm going to support that one. And as far as the pool's concerned, I brought that up in our caucus earlier. I too want to see some movement. It hasn't been really discussed a whole lot since I've been on council, and I think we need to get moving on it because the children of this city deserve to have a pool complex and a place to go and enjoy themselves in the summer. That's all.
Mr. Schuster, do you have any motions or comments?
Yeah, just a few. In caucus, we did discuss the pool for a little bit. And Frank, you did send out some correspondence a week or so ago for an update on the pool, correct?
Correct. We received the monies that are pending, and we asked that they explore some more creative funding to expedite the program.
Yeah. So I mean, right now, I'm just going to encourage the mayor and administration to sit down, maybe give us an update on where we're at, where we're going with the pool, so we could start to look at what decisions are to be made. I'd just like to report out about, I'd say about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I asked for the billing for our legal counsel, or our labor counsel. Today we've been back and forth with the administration about the billing logs. They've been sitting in council offices for a couple weeks, but we haven't been allowed to take them. Today, we did get a phone call or an email from the city solicitor saying that they don't have any updates for us this week, but by next week, we should have something on the billing. So right now, we're just talking about whether any items are going to be redacted from those documents or not, and we hope to have them by next week. I'm disappointed in this, but I hope to have them by next week. I'd like to thank Frank for reaching out on 1107 Woodlawn Street, and also during caucus, we discussed about meeting with PA American Water about our Birch Street projects and Broadway, so maybe we'll be getting that coming up in the next 2 weeks. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. McAndrew, do you have any motions or comments?
Yeah, I have a couple. So regarding the pool, I brought it up last week, Mr. King brought it up this week. We're all in favor, let's get moving on this. I've been hearing plans and different excuses why we're not doing it for the past 2.5 years. So, yes, let's send some correspondence, let's get them in here and give us an update. Second, so this kind of piggybacks on the pool. Mr. Coyne brought up a great point. So we're not going to have a pool anytime soon. We know that, right? So can you, Mr. Voldenberg, send correspondence to the fire department and explore the device that Mr. Coyne spoke of, like putting something on a fire hydrant with a pad, and see if that's, see if it's feasible, if it's doable. At least let's explore this option. I'd be in favor of that. And then thirdly, I got an email, where is it? All right, so this is a concern because this is a meeting that's going to be Saturday. So this gentleman sent me an email, and he said, as much as I'm a teacher in the SSD, I'm also the commander of the Sons of Union Veterans Camp 8, which holds our meetings in the basement of City Hall. We were having issues accessing the building because our key cards do not get in, do not work. The key cards to get in do not work. We have heard nothing back from IT to get the cards updated. We have a very important meeting on this Saturday for our departed brothers ceremony and our Memorial Day presentation at Dunmore Cemetery on the 30th. Can you please help us? So please send, urgent correspondence, because they need to have access for these very important meetings this Saturday. So if you can contact the IT department. And during caucus, when I read this, I forwarded this email to you, Mr. Voldenberg. So if you didn't get it, let me know, and can we act quickly on this?
I'll take care of it, sir.
Thank you. And that is all I have.
Thank you. I just have a few things. I've stated multiple times that I'm in favor of renovating this building and keeping this building City Hall. And I've made multiple statements regarding NAOG Pool that I'm willing to, and I'm in favor of going big with that. So we're going to reach out to the administration on that and come up with some funding solutions to actually get that project moving. Mr. Voldenberg, just to some of Ms. Honowanitz's comments, could we reach out to IT regarding the updated clerical contract on the city website? Also, the city controller, to see if there will be a paper copy on file for any bids that come in with the new procurement software. And could we reach out to Kohansky regarding an update on the 2021 audit and how far along they've come there? I believe a couple weeks ago, Ms. Schumacher asked for information regarding the number of property owners that have paid taxes. We did get an update from the tax collector, Kathy Weschler, today. So that's 67.5% of all properties have paid in full. 24.6% have paid zero, no payments received to date. And then 7.9% have paid at least one installment. Just a reminder that the end of the face value period is June 30th, which is also the due date for the second quarterly payment. So Ms. Weschler did indicate that she will also send us an update on this information in July once they process those payments. We also got an email this week regarding, and I know this has been a problem, property with 601, 603 Wheeler Avenue. We had got this on, we got the email on Wednesday of last week, but I drove by on Saturday leaving the touch a truck, and they were at least cutting the grass. But Mr. Voldenberg, could we just circle back with code enforcement to see where they are in terms of the structure on that property? And I also got a couple of complaints this week. One of them regarding Froud Avenue and East Elm. Cars constantly running the stop sign at that corner. So could we send correspondence to the police department to ask them to increase patrols, especially during the times of 7:30 to about 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. That seems to be the high traffic areas up there. I know Ms. Schumacher brought up the issue on Cherry Street, I believe, with that there's some sort of natural spring under there. Myself and Mr. King were actually on the gentleman's porch last week talking to him about how that needs to be fixed. So we are looking into that too. And then a couple other complaints I got. One was on, it's basically at the edge of the corner of the property at 16 Arnold Avenue. The drainage ditch that's there that catches the water is pretty wide, and the neighbor had concerns that one of the children in the neighborhood could possibly fall in because it was that big. So could we send that along to both PA, American Water, and DPW?
I will, sir.
And also, there's the PA American Water did a pave cut in front of 728 Fig Street, and it's basically caving in. I was out there on Sunday, and when I actually got close to it, I actually think I made the problem a little worse because it started caving in again. But could you also send that to PA American Water and the pave cut inspector to get out there and see if they could fix that issue? It is a recent pave cut there. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you. Mr. Voldenberg?
5B for introduction, a resolution supporting Pennsylvania Senate Bill 845 and House Bill 1393 to amend the Controlled Substance, Drug, Device, and Cosmetic Act to exclude fentanyl test strips for personal use from the definition of drug paraphernalia.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5B be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5C for introduction, a resolution ratifying and approving of the execution and submission of the dirt, gravel, and low-volume road maintenance grant application by the City of Scranton, and authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials or designees to accept the grant up to the amount of $160,355 if awarded by the Lackawanna County Conservation District for such projects.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5C be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5D for introduction, a resolution authorizing the City of Scranton to establish a one-time, one-month waiver of the interest and penalty for past due initial payroll preparation tax returns filed with the City of Scranton during the period of June 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5D be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5E, for introduction, a resolution authorizing the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to upgrade certain traffic control devices in the city of Scranton to make all necessary applications for such on behalf of the city of Scranton.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5E be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question? All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Sixth order, no business at this time. Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 70, 2022, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to apply for and execute a grant for the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Office of the Budget in the amount of $1,500,000. If the application is successful, accepting and dispersing the grant, and coordinating the use of the grant funds for the project to be named the Scranton Municipal Building Renovation Project.
What is the recommendation of the vice chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild? Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes. I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 71, 2022, authorizing the mayor, Office of Economic and Community Development officials, and other appropriate city officials for the city of Scranton to execute and enter into an agreement with Nossaman LLP to provide federal government affairs services.
What is the recommendation of the vice chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final vote of item 7B.
Second?
On the question?
Based on our conversation, I think, during the caucus, I'd recommend that we consider tabling this until we get some changes or amendments to the existing contract that was presented, to just make it more clear.
I'll second that. Anyone else, anyone on the question to table item 7B?
Well, yeah, on the question, I was prepared to vote tonight for this resolution, and I was going to vote no. And I'm going to tell you why. Because after a week since introduction and time to think about it, I see no need to contract with a lobbyist. I was voting no tonight on this. Lobbying the federal government for funding is the job of the mayor and the OECD director. This is what the taxpayers of Scranton pay them to do. We can save the $4,000 a month the mayor plans to pay a former colleague and retired former legislator by having the mayor pick up the phone and call our U.S. Senator Bob Casey, who just happens to live in Scranton, and our U.S. Congressman Matt Cartwright, who happens to be on the Appropriations Committee. This money could be better spent on things that affect our residents and neighborhoods, such as filling potholes, cleaning out storm drains, etc. This administration needs to do their jobs and stop farming out the responsibilities of this administration to private contractors. So I urge my colleagues to vote no on this proposal tonight. It's a waste of taxpayer money.
Anyone else on the question, on the motion to table item 7B? All those in favor of tabling 7B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
So we're deadlocked again. So the motion to table fails. Anyone else on the question regarding the legislation 7B?
So with 7B, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I just pretty much stated my reasons for voting no, so I don't need to repeat it.
Well, last week I stated that I felt like it was death by 1,000 cuts. You know, we've been talking about the CBAs that haven't been settled. We have had proposed increases this year. We've had consultants added. And this $48,000 here is an increase to the current budget. I'm not really in favor of adding to our current budget that's already been decided upon. So I'll be voting no tonight as well.
Hey, I wish that we didn't have to pay for lobbyists. I wish lobbyists didn't have to exist, but unfortunately, that's not the way the world currently works. That's not the way the U.S. Congress currently works. The U.S. Congress doesn't get anything done because they don't compromise, so I think having a representative down there that's in Washington every day fighting for our interests is in the best interest of city residents. Do I wish it wasn't necessary? Yes, I do, but unfortunately, it is. Anyone else on the question?
I'm probably going to be voting no on this as well, based on some questions I had about the contract, too, so that's where I stand. And it is unfortunate that lobbyists need to, serve in this capacity when we do have a U.S. senator who lives in the city and a U.S. congressman who lives in this area, and we have a mayor who really has a direct contact with all those individuals, and so that's kind of where I stand on that one.
Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes. Item 7B has been defeated.
7C for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 72, 2022, ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the fiscal year 2023 funding application by the City of Scranton through the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Transportation, Housing and Urban Development, and related highway infrastructure program for up to $2 million for the Pittston Avenue Infrastructure Streetscape Project.
What is the recommendation of the Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
7D for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 73, 2022, ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for a grant for the purposes of the Lackawanna River Heritage Trail, City of Scranton Bridge Project.
What is the recommendation of the Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7D.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7D legally and lawfully adopted.
7E for consideration by the Committee on Public Safety for adoption, Resolution Number 74, 2022, ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to fiscal year 2023 appropriations through the Burn Justice Assistant Grant account for up to $4,150,599.48 to provide technology, equipment, and services to the Scranton Police Department.
What is the recommendation of the Chairperson for the Committee on Public Safety?
As Chairperson for the Committee on Public Safety, I recommend final passage of item 7E.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7E legally and lawfully adopted.
7F for consideration by the Committee on Public Safety for adoption, Resolution number 75, 2022, ratifying and approving of the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton and authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to accept the grant in the amount of $1,000 awarded by Lackawanna County for an electronics recycling event.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7F.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7F legally and lawfully adopted.
7G for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, Resolution number 76, 2022, authorizing the Mayor, Office of Economic and Community Development, and other appropriate city officials for the City of Scranton to execute and enter into a contract with Chaluski Enterprises, LLC, to provide improvements to McLean Park, Phase 3.
What is the recommendation of the Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As Vice Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7G.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7G legally and lawfully adopted.
Eighth order, 8A, file the council number 9, 2022.
This piece of legislation is the updated zoning ordinance. It is tabled to allow for additional input and any changes via amendment.
8B, file the council number 12, 2022.
This piece of legislation is for the transfer of a restaurant liquor license that was tabled to allow for a public hearing to take place. Next week, there will be a motion to place it in seventh order for a final vote. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.